There are moments in life when mercy becomes weakness. When forgiving them, again, doesn't make you noble, it makes you vulnerable. When the people who smiled in your face only did so to get closer to the knife lodged in your back. This is for the ones who trusted too much, for the ones who stayed silent while they were disrespected in plain sight, for those who thought loyalty would be enough until it wasn't. You didn't imagine it. They knew exactly what they were doing. The lies, the manipulation, the fake apologies, the gaslighting. And here's the hardest truth of all. They're only still standing because you let them. But that ends today. Because some people must face the consequences, not out of hate, not out of rage, but because justice demands it. This isn't about revenge. This is about drawing the line and standing on it, alone if you have to. No more explaining yourself, no more second chances, no more hoping they'll change. From this point forward, we show no mercy. In this video, we're going deep, and I mean painfully deep. We're going to walk through the 5 brutal but necessary reasons why certain people must be made to face the consequences of their actions. And we're not sugarcoating it. We're using the timeless philosophy of Stoicism, not the watered-down Pinterest version, but the real thing, the cold, rational, unflinching power that once forged emperors, soldiers, and survivors. We're going to expose what betrayal actually costs, what mercy actually protects, and what holding people accountable really says, not about them, but about you. Because Stoicism teaches us something society has forgotten. That letting people walk all over you isn't wisdom, it's weakness. And ignoring injustice doesn't make you enlightened, it makes you complicit. So if you've ever been lied to and forced to act like nothing happened, this is for you. If you've ever poured everything into someone who repaid you with silence, betrayal, or cruelty, this is for you. If you've spent nights replaying conversations, wondering if maybe you were the problem, this is for you. You're not crazy. You're just dealing with people who were never held accountable, and now they mistake your kindness for cowardice. But Stoicism doesn't teach you to suppress your pain. It teaches you to transform it into discipline, into boundaries, into action. So this isn't just another motivational video. This is a declaration that from this point forward, you will not beg to be understood. You will not explain your worth. And you will not offer apologies to those who never gave you respect. Because they must feel the consequences. And you must show no mercy. If that resonates with you, if you've been holding your voice back for too long, then hit subscribe. Because this is where silence ends. This is where power begins. Let's begin. Before we go deeper, take a moment and look around you. Think about the people you've given second, third, even 10th chances to. Where did it get you? Did they grow? Did they change? Did they finally recognize your value? Or did they become bolder in how they disrespected you? What you tolerate doesn't disappear. It expands. It multiplies. And before you know it, you're no longer just being disrespected. You're being erased. You deserve better than that. But here's the truth. Unless you demand better, you will never receive it. And that's why you need to subscribe, not because this channel is entertainment, but because you need constant reminders to stop giving your power away. To stop hoping the same people who hurt you will suddenly choose to protect you. Subscribe, because silence is no longer strength. Clarity is, boundaries are, action is. Join this movement because we're done being walked over. We are not here to play nice with betrayal. We are here to confront it with fire, with logic, and with the unshakable force of Stoic truth. Subscribe now, because the new version of you starts right here. Let's start at the foundation, because if you don't shift your identity, you'll keep reliving the same pain. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is this: life isn't fair. It never was, and it never will be. But that doesn't mean you roll over and accept abuse. It means you stop looking outward for justice and start building it inward. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In other words, the only real control you have is over your response. And while the world tells you to collapse, complain, and curse the sky, Stoicism tells you to rise. No matter what they did to you, you're still responsible for the next move, not because it's your fault, but because it's your life. Victimhood feels safe. It feels justified. But here's the uncomfortable truth. When you live in that identity too long, you lose your agency. And the people who hurt you, they win. They keep winning, because now you're not only carrying the pain, you're building a home inside it. And Stoicism won't let you do that. It won't let you rot quietly in your misery. It forces you to choose. Do you want justice, or do you want to be right about how unfair everything was? Because you can't have both. If you want power, you must leave victimhood behind. This is where it gets real. Let's talk about mercy. You've been told that showing mercy is a virtue, that turning the other cheek makes you stronger, that forgiveness is healing, and sometimes, yes, it is. But what they don't tell you is this: mercy given to the wrong person doesn't heal, it destroys. Because some people don't see your forgiveness as grace, they see it as permission. This is what I call compassion addiction, when you're so obsessed with being the better person that you end up being the broken one. You excuse the lie because they were going through something. You excuse the betrayal because that's just how they are. And every time you give them a pass, what you're really saying is, you can treat me this way and I'll still stay. And they will, again and again and again. Because when you teach someone that actions have no consequences, you're not being loving, you're being irresponsible with your own dignity. You're not their savior, you're their enabler. And there's no virtue in that, only self-destruction. So yes, mercy has its place, but not in the hands of manipulators, not in the hands of liars, and certainly not in the hands of those who weaponize your kindness against you. Stoicism doesn't tell you to hate them, it tells you to leave them. Reason number 1, consequences create growth. It's one of the hardest things to do as a human being, to watch someone you care about crash and not step in. But sometimes, helping them only delays the pain they need to face. Sometimes, rescuing someone is the most damaging thing you can do, because consequences create growth. You might think you're saving them, that your patience is noble, that your mercy makes you good. But all it does is shield them from reality. And reality is a brutal but brilliant teacher. Stoicism never asks you to be cruel, but it demands that you stop interrupting the lessons pain is trying to teach others. The Stoics believe that suffering has a purpose, that the sting of consequence is often the only force strong enough to snap a person out of delusion, entitlement, or addiction. Pain is the teacher, and shielding someone from it is stealing their chance to grow. You don't mature from comfort. You grow when something breaks. You grow when you're faced with a choice: evolve or suffer again. This applies to them, but it also applies to you. Let's take Marcus Aurelius, one of the most respected Roman emperors and Stoic philosophers, a man who lived by reason, not emotion. He was not just a thinker, but a commander. He led Roman legions into battle, and he understood something most modern leaders don't. If you let your men get away with disobedience once, they'll break formation every time. In the Roman army, discipline wasn't optional, it was sacred, and consequences weren't negotiable. They were the lifeblood of the system, because when soldiers know they're safe from accountability, the entire structure collapses. So when a soldier disobeyed, Marcus didn't lecture them. He didn't plead, he punished. Because he understood that leadership isn't about being liked, it's about protecting the standard. And that same principle applies in your life. When you set boundaries and someone breaks them, if you don't act, you teach them that your standards are hollow. As Jordan Peterson said, if you allow people to act badly without consequence, you make them worse. Let that settle in for a second, because it flips the entire script on what we've been taught. Forgiveness without accountability, that's not love, that's sabotage. Compassion without consequence, that's not virtue, that's dysfunction. When you let people mistreat you without repercussions, you become part of their downfall. You contribute to their decline. You're not saving them, you're softening the impact of their own bad behavior so they never have to stop. Until one day, they hurt someone who doesn't let it slide, and now they don't just lose a relationship, they lose everything. Let me tell you about someone I knew. We'll call her Sarah. She had a brother, addicted to chaos, manipulative, always promising to change. And Sarah believed him, again and again, every relapse forgiven, every lie excused, every apology accepted. She paid his rent, covered his debts, cleaned up the messes he made, even when it destroyed her own credit, her relationships, her sanity. She thought she was being loyal, but really, she was keeping him sick. It went on for years, until one day he stole from her, wiped her account, and vanished. And that was the moment Sarah changed. No more phone calls, no more excuses, no more lifelines. She cut him off, not out of hate, but out of necessity. And something strange happened. At first he spiraled, rock bottom, eviction, jail. But in the ashes, he began to rebuild, not because someone saved him, but because no one did. Years later, he told her, "You cutting me off saved my life." That's the paradox. What feels cruel in the moment may be the greatest gift you'll ever give someone. This is what Stoicism teaches us, that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is to walk away, to let them fall, to let them hurt, to let them see what life looks like when they no longer have access to your protection. Because that pain, that silence, that consequence, it may be the only thing strong enough to spark their transformation. Not everyone deserves your rescue, but everyone needs their own reckoning. Consequences must create growth, and it's not your job to block them. It's your job to enforce them, even when it hurts. Reason number 2, consequences restore balance. Let's imagine a world where no one is held accountable, where lies go unchecked, betrayals go forgiven, and the people who harm others, they are never forced to face what they've done. That world isn't peaceful, It's chaos in disguise. And most people don't notice the damage, not at first, because the imbalance starts small, quiet, hidden. But over time, it infects everything. The silence becomes standard, the lack of boundaries becomes culture, and slowly, the strong begin to crumble under the weight of the irresponsible. This is why consequences aren't just personal, they're structural. They are the only way to restore balance. To the Stoics, justice wasn't optional. It was sacred, a virtue, one of the highest. Because without justice, no other virtue survives. Mercy becomes naivety, courage becomes recklessness, wisdom becomes useless. Seneca said, "No man can have a peaceful life who thinks too much about lengthening it, or who believes living consists in having many guards." He meant this: peace comes from order, and order comes from boundaries enforced. When someone crosses a line intentionally and walks away unscathed, the message is clear. There are no rules, and the law of balance has been broken. That's not Stoicism, that's surrender. Let me take you back to the Roman Republic. Julius Caesar was rising fast, a man obsessed with power, loved by the people, feared by the Senate. Most of his enemies tried to negotiate with him, to compromise, to avoid a fight. But one man refused to bend. Cato the Younger. Stoic, statesman, relentlessly principled. Cato saw Caesar for what he was: ruthless, manipulative, willing to destroy Rome's laws just to gain more control. And though it cost him politically, and eventually his life, Cato never compromised. He stood for justice, not convenience, not comfort, not safety. And when people begged him to negotiate, to settle, to see reason, he answered with silence and a line in the sand. Because he knew, once you start excusing injustice, it spreads. He would rather die on the side of truth than live in a world ruled by deception. The punishment you allow becomes the standard others learn to follow. The silence you offer becomes the permission they exploit. And the justice you delay becomes the imbalance that breaks you. Let me show you what this looks like in modern life. There was a man named David. He ran a small but growing tech startup. Young team, big vision, high trust. David believed in kindness, in giving people space. He wanted to be the good boss, not the harsh one, not the enforcer. So when his lead developer started missing deadlines, he let it slide. When she lied about completing a project, he believed her. When she spread rumors, stirred up the team, undermined a coworker, he pulled her aside and gave her another chance. "She's probably just overwhelmed," he said. "She's talented. Let's not be too hard on her." But here's what happened next. The other employees started noticing the favoritism, the excuses, the double standard. Morale dropped, respect evaporated. 2 brilliant coders quit within a month. Another took stress leave. Productivity collapsed. And still, David hesitated. He thought that enforcing consequences would be too harsh, that it would damage the culture. But the culture was already gone. By the time he finally let her go, the damage was irreversible. Investors pulled out, clients left, the company folded within the year. All because one person wasn't held accountable. One imbalance was allowed to grow. And like a fracture in a foundation, it brought the whole house down. People think consequences are about punishment. They're not. They're about proportion, balance, truth. When someone breaks trust and walks away untouched, it doesn't just affect you, it infects everything. The friendship, the family, the team, the culture, the future. And the longer you wait to correct the imbalance, the deeper the rot goes. Stoicism doesn't ask you to seek revenge, it asks you to restore order. And that starts by holding people accountable. Not out of anger, but out of principle. Because the moment you let injustice go unchecked, you are no longer the victim. You are the architect of your own collapse. Consequences aren't cruelty, they are course correction. They restore balance, and without balance, there is no peace. Reason number 3, they knew what they were doing. She said she didn't mean to hurt him. She said she was confused, emotionally overwhelmed, not herself. And yet, she hid her phone, lied about where she was, used his kindness as a shield, and when the truth finally came out, when he caught her cheating, it wasn't guilt she showed. It was irritation that she'd been caught. You've seen it. Maybe you've lived it. That moment where someone wrongs you and then blames their trauma, their stress, their past, their childhood, their mental health, their horoscope, anything but their own choices. And if you're a decent person, you want to believe them. You want to see the best in them. You want to excuse what they did because you're told that's what empathy looks like. But there's something you need to understand. They knew what they were doing. And if this part is already hitting a little too close to home, if you're remembering someone who lied to you, played with your emotions, made you question your worth, then hit subscribe. Because this channel isn't here to sugarcoat it, it's here to give you the truth, unfiltered. If you've been betrayed, abandoned, or manipulated, this space is your armor. Let's keep going. Most betrayal isn't accidental. Most manipulation isn't random. It's deliberate, planned, thought through. They knew exactly which lie to tell, exactly when to say, "I love you," exactly how to twist the narrative so you'd feel guilty instead of angry. They knew when to cry, when to go silent, when to flip the script, because this is what manipulators do. And the worst part, they count on your empathy. They weaponize your kindness. They bet on the fact that you'll be too compassionate to confront them, too forgiving to leave, too patient to demand accountability. So, the cycle continues. Until you stop it. Psychologists have a name for these kinds of people. They call it the dark triad, a cocktail of 3 traits that, when combined, create the most dangerous personalities on earth. Narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy. Narcissists crave validation and control. They manipulate to maintain superiority. Machiavellians, they see life as a chessboard. Every move is calculated. Every compliment, every apology is a tactic. And psychopaths, they feel no guilt, no empathy, only the thrill of domination. These traits show up in boardrooms and bedrooms, in family gatherings and friendships, in people who seem charming, until the mask slips. They are not confused. They are not healing. They are playing. And every time you let them walk away without consequence, you reinforce the game. Epictetus once said, when someone is properly grounded in life, they shouldn't have to look outside themselves for approval. In other words, strong people don't need permission to see the truth. They don't need closure or explanations or perfect evidence. If something violates their peace, they leave. If someone lies, they don't justify it. They name it. Stoicism teaches you to stop giving the benefit of the doubt to people who benefit from your doubt. It teaches you to stay grounded in what you see, not in what you hope they meant. Because hoping they didn't mean it doesn't make it less real. There was a man, we'll call him Alex, smart, generous, loyal to a fault. He had a best friend from childhood. Let's call him Derek. Derek was always in some kind of mess. Late on rent, drama with girlfriends, problems at work. But Alex, he always helped. Loaned him money, co-signed on a lease, got him a job at his own company. But then one day, Alex found out Derek had been talking behind his back, undermining him at the office. Even tried to convince his girlfriend to leave him. When confronted, Derek broke down, cried, said he was depressed, said he was jealous, said he didn't know why he did it. Alex almost forgave him. Almost. But then, he looked back, really looked. The pattern, the lies, the manipulation, all the signs were there. This wasn't a one-time slip, it was a long game, a slow betrayal, years in the making. And that's when it hit him. Derek knew what he was doing all along. So Alex cut him off. No text, no goodbye, just silence, cold, final, and clean. It was the first time he enforced a consequence, and the last time he was ever played. If someone steals from you in the dark, you might say they were desperate. But if they smile in your face, say they love you, and still take what's not theirs, that's not desperation, that's design. They knew, now you know. Stop calling it a mistake when it was a plan. Stop calling it confusion when it was a pattern. And stop making excuses for people who made very deliberate choices to disrespect you. Not because you're heartless, but because you've had enough. They knew what they were doing, so now let them know what you're going to do about it. Reason number 4, accountability is love for self. Imagine picking up a venomous snake. You hold it carefully, you whisper to it, you feed it, you hope, maybe this time, it won't bite you. But it does again and again. So what do? You blame the snake? Maybe, but eventually you have to face something harder. You chose to keep holding it. You ignored its fangs, told yourself it was changing, that maybe your kindness would heal it, that maybe it was your job to fix it. But here's the truth. Mercy without discernment is not noble, it's suicidal. Stoicism teaches that self-respect is not optional, it's a duty. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When you constantly forgive those who don't care they hurt you, you aren't being strong, you're turning against yourself. Because every act of compassion that costs you your peace is not compassion, it's self-betrayal. Letting people off the hook again and again doesn't make you kind. It makes you a victim of your own fear. Fear of conflict, fear of loneliness, fear of what you'll lose if you finally walk away. Imagine your mind as a house. Your heart is a room inside it. Every time you let someone hurt you without consequence, it's like removing the lock from your front door. They come in, wreck everything, and leave. No apology, no repair, just chaos. And the next day you sweep the floor, fix the furniture, replace the broken windows, and leave the door open again. Eventually, you have to realize you're not being loyal. You're just leaving yourself unguarded. So what does accountability actually look like? Sometimes it's not dramatic, it's not loud, it doesn't need closure or confrontation. It looks like cutting off contact, not responding, not explaining. It's blocking the number, not watching their story, not sending one last text. It's choosing your mental health over their guilt trip. It's deciding that your energy is not a courtroom and you are not the lawyer defending their intentions. It's finally saying, I don't need to prove my worth to someone who couldn't even see it. This is a real letter we received from someone in our community. The names have been changed. Dear narrator, I watched one of your videos a month ago, the one about boundaries and walking away. I didn't think I could do it. I was with someone who constantly disrespected me, lied, gaslit me, then cried and said they didn't mean it. Every time I forgave them, I wanted to believe they would change, that they just needed support. But something in me broke when I saw how easy it was for them to hurt me, and how hard it was for them to stop. So I left, quietly, no fight, no begging. I just left. I've never felt more scared and more free. Thank you for reminding me that self-love sometimes looks like silence. Rosa. You can love someone and still walk away. You can wish someone healing and still never speak to them again. Epictetus once said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Accountability isn't revenge, it's alignment. You stop saying you value peace while allowing chaos. You stop preaching boundaries and letting people trample them. You stop believing that setting limits makes you cold. It makes you clear. Eventually, you stop asking, why did they hurt me? You start asking, why did I let it continue? Because there's a kind of mercy that doesn't heal. It delays the inevitable. And there's a kind of silence that doesn't mean defeat. It means you finally had enough. Accountability is not cruelty. It is the highest form of self-respect. You are not here to be someone's doormat in the name of compassion. You are here to honor your worth. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is leave the door closed. Reason number 5. The world needs more discipline. Civilizations don't fall all at once. They rot slowly, quietly, one compromise at a time. And if you look closely, you'll see the decay everywhere. In homes where children throw tantrums and parents call it expression. In friendships where betrayal is brushed off as just a phase. In workplaces where dishonesty is tolerated because it's easier than confrontation. The rot begins when people stop being held accountable. And then something even worse happens. It becomes normal. Disrespect is passed off as humor. Laziness is excused as burnout. Lying becomes strategy. And slowly society begins to collapse, not with violence, but with apathy. Because if there are no consequences, there is no order. And if there is no order, there is no freedom, only chaos dressed in self-expression. Stoicism knew this centuries ago, that without discipline, without internal control, the world fractures. Morality crumbles. Justice becomes optional. Marcus Aurelius ruled the greatest empire of his time, not with rage, not with popularity, but with order. He wrote, just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. What did he mean? That morality is not a trend. It is a structure. It is a framework to protect us from our worst instincts. We live in an age where feelings are worshipped like facts, where being offended means you're right, where holding people accountable is considered toxic. But the Stoics knew better. They knew that structure leads to strength, and without strength there is no society, only self-indulgence. Discipline isn't chains, it's armor. You don't hold someone accountable because you hate them. You do it because you respect yourself and because you respect the world you live in. Discipline is choosing not to let a wrong slide, not to shrug off betrayal, not to say it's fine when it's destroying you inside. Modern men and women are being told that tolerance is love, but tolerance without limits becomes a weapon against your own values. Holding the line is not cruelty, it's clarity. There is a kind of accountability that is bigger than you. It's not about getting closure or making them feel guilty. It's about setting a standard so others know what isn't acceptable. It's about showing your children what dignity looks like. It's about refusing to let the people around you believe that emotional abuse is just part of love. It's about drawing the line, not just for yourself, but for the world you will leave behind. Cato the Younger stood against Julius Caesar, not because it was politically convenient, but because discipline matters, even when the world mocks it, even when it costs you. There are people in your life right now who know what they did. They know it was wrong, and they're watching to see what you'll do. Will you speak up, or will you stay silent? Will you draw a boundary, or let them cross it again? Will you walk away, or keep bleeding for their comfort? The answer doesn't just shape your life, it shapes what becomes acceptable in your world. Stoicism isn't soft, it's steel. It teaches that consequences are not just reactions, they are lessons. And when you let people walk free after doing wrong, you rob them and the world of those lessons. You hold people accountable not because you are cold, but because you are awake. Because you know what's at stake when we let disrespect go unpunished, when we allow lies to become habits, when we call weakness love. Discipline isn't the enemy, it's the only way through the chaos. So if you've been wondering what to do with those who hurt you, who betrayed you, who used your silence against you, do this. Don't let them get away with it. Not for revenge, not for pride, but for something far more powerful. For the world that's watching. Now, let's talk about how to enforce consequences. Enforcing consequences isn't about making a scene. It's not about loud exits or dramatic declarations. It's about clarity, a quiet, resolute truth that no longer needs negotiation. It's about choosing your self-respect over their comfort, not once, but every single time. This is the part where many falter, not because they lack anger, but because they doubt they're allowed to act on it. They hesitate, they explain, they justify, and in doing so they hand their power right back to the ones who violated it. 1. Cut ties without explanation. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." That doesn't mean forgiveness, that means indifference, control. When someone crosses a line, you don't owe them a story, you owe yourself peace. Your silence is your final statement, your withdrawal is your verdict. You cut ties, not to punish them, but to protect yourself, and that is enough. The truth is, most people who hurt you already know what they did. They just hope you won't have the strength to walk away. When you do it without theatrics, without bitterness, without explanation, it shakes them. Because that kind of silence is loud, it speaks of strength, of knowing your worth. 2. Set cold boundaries. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, Marcus Aurelius wrote. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They're doors that only open for those who respect the key. You don't scream your boundaries. You set them like steel, cold, rational, final. When someone crosses them, you don't argue, you don't explain, you act. This is how Stoics operated, with principle, not reaction, with lines, not emotion. They understood that discipline wasn't only internal, it had to extend into relationships, choices, standards. If you don't define your boundaries, the world will assume you have none. And the worst kind of suffering is the one you allow because you were too afraid to say, "That's enough." 3. Let them sit with the silence. Seneca once wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." When you cut ties and enforce boundaries, leave the silence untouched. Don't call, don't explain, don't ask if they've changed. You are not their savior. The silence will do what your words never could. It will echo, it will linger, it will convict. People learn from absence more than presence, from cold detachment more than second chances. Let karma play out, but do not interfere. Nature has its justice. Your only duty is to step out of the chaos and return to your path. Let them sit with the mirror of what they did, alone. Epictetus wrote, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." You don't need to convince anyone that you've changed. You just walk differently. You don't need to yell that you have boundaries. You simply never allow the same treatment twice. You don't scream revenge. You enforce order. There's a quote from Marcus Aurelius I think about often. It says, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Apply this to your pain, to your past, to those who used you as a doormat, a second option, a punching bag. You don't have to fix them. You're not responsible for their growth. You're responsible for your peace. So remember this: when it's time to enforce consequences, do it with silence, with steel, and with strength. You don't need a sword, you don't need revenge, you only need this one truth: that your worth is no longer up for debate. This isn't about revenge. Revenge is reaction. Revenge is chaos. This is clarity. This is about reclaiming your time, your dignity, your inner calm. It's about drawing the line where they thought there was none. It's about facing reality with your eyes open, not glazed over by hope or nostalgia or guilt. It's about enforcing consequences not because you hate them, but because you finally love yourself enough to stop tolerating what breaks you. In a world that rewards manipulation, excuses, and emotional chaos, the rarest virtue left is discipline. Most won't hold others accountable because it's uncomfortable, because it disrupts harmony, because it risks being called cruel. But cruelty is allowing people to walk over you while calling it kindness. Cruelty is showing mercy to those who only weaponize it. And here's the truth: to show mercy to those who would destroy you is not nobility. It is negligence. You don't have to be angry. You don't have to raise your voice. All you have to do is walk away. Withdraw your energy. Reclaim your silence. Let them feel the emptiness of losing your access. Let them taste the accountability they always dodged, and when they come back with apologies, tears, promises, stay calm. Because you've seen the cycle, you've felt the bite, you know better now. And once you know better, it becomes a decision to go back into the fire. Let them feel the weight of your silence. Let them see what it means to lose you, not with rage, but with absolute calm. The storm they created no longer reaches you. You've grown beyond it, and if they ask why you left, remind them you warned them with your patience, and then you left with your power. If this hit home, if your soul feels that burn of truth right now, I want you to do one thing. Type the words, "No mercy," in the comments below. Not because you're cruel, but because you're done being a casualty in someone else's war. And if you're ready to build a life rooted in strength, silence, and unshakable standards, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and step into this journey with us where Stoicism isn't theory, it's a lifestyle. Because your time for softness is over. You're not here to be walked on. You're here to stand. So stand, and never apologize for it.